Move now to the Allies and WA. That was the second game of the National Championships. This is for the boys. That took place on Sunday afternoon. Wasn't the prettiest of matches, and Sydney had a lot of rain on the Saturday, and the pitch held up pretty well at Blacktown on the Sunday, to be fair. It was
positive.
A bit slippery, but looked okay from what I saw. And the Allies got up 10-10-70 to WA 77-8-50 and Western Australia led by 5 points at three-quarter time. So it was a big fourth quarter effort from the Allies, and they get their first win of the champs.
Yeah, which is really positive. You obviously watched this one again, and you've watched the Allies now for a couple of weeks. So they started their championships obviously a little bit earlier than the other teams. They're already halfway through their championships now, and Leo Lombard, from what you tell me, has backed up what he did in the first week. So, yeah, Gold Coast supporters are going to be licking their lips. What was it this week that took your eye?
Yeah, well, it was nuts. And
it was nuts.
Well, I had Sam...
We should put that on an Instagram quote.
It was nuts, seriously. There was one goal, if anyone was watching, it was in the second half where just one of those highlight reels that you'd look back on in 10 years and you'd say, well, he always had it, where he just taps it over an opponent. Just one of those kind of basketball taps
Smarts,
over,
yeah.
Keeps on running, runs into inside 50, kicks it from 30. And I had Sam Marshall as my number one on the ground. And at that point before that goal, it was purely because, I mean, Lombard is terrific. He brings that separation in his game with that strength he has. He's so effective around the ground. He just drives his legs on the inside and outside, and quick hands, strength with his marking, but he does overdo it sometimes when his confidence gets up, and that was something last week. But that's when you've got that confidence, fair enough. You probably do have the license to take on the game more than a couple of times, but that goal just topped it off. When you talk about impact per possession, he's got it, and you can live with those mistakes because he's just so powerful.
Those mistakes would be outweighed by, like you say, all the other
for sure,
offensive flair that he produces.
Yeah, and got forward and kicked 2 goals in the end in just a really terrific performance and just stoppage craft. He's gonna he should play round 1 next year for the Suns.
You touch on Sam Marshall there as well, someone who'll go to the Lions. You'd think if he keeps up his current trajectory, and he certainly did that on the weekend. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, just some real smart football plays, I thought. Really good ball movement, moving inside 50, set up a shot on goal early in the contest that wasn't able to be converted in the end. It was just his aggression to take it on. Really wasn't scared of penetrating through the corridor and using his legs to create some drive. In terms of metres gained, he probably would have been up there with, the top 5 on the field in the end. He was always willing to create opportunities offensively, which I thought was good on his end. Had a really nice set shot at goal, so he finished with 1 goal for the day. And his ability to lower the eyes inside 50, I think he added that little bit of class that the Allies needed, especially in the second half when they were really 50-50 which way the game would go. So he was my second best on the day.
A couple of classy smalls as well caught your eye, and you were telling me about them in Ollie DePoli Qbank from the Tassie Devils, and Zeke Uland, another product of Gold Coast, who also started the championships reasonably well, just like Leo Lombard. Yeah,
for sure. I'll start with Ollie, and had a slow start. I don't think he had a touch at quarter time, but worked himself into it well enough where it wasn't as good as his previous game against SA, but was really well positioned moving inside 50, got a really nice goal from 40 metres out, and that's 2 weeks in a row where he's kicked a really nice goal. Kicked 2 last week and 1 tad this week, but provided that speed and burst out of stoppages that the Allies really needed, got it moving forward, and I think he executed his role really well, and that's what helped him stand out when he was having a quieter day than usual on his end. And yeah, against some pretty big WA bodies as well. He was just agile and able to get himself out of some sticky situations at times. And Zeke Uland, 2 really good games. A lovely left foot kick, and he did that again. He showcased that again. His ability to move through the corridor and lace out someone inside 50 was terrific. Finished with a goal on the day. One thing I noticed is just, a lot of players have quick hands, right, and ability to just get out quickly, but he was running in opposite directions and flicking it back, and these passes were, getting the players moving, like just stuff like that, little things where he's able to size up how to move his body well enough to keep the ball moving in a good direction. And took the game on late as well, moved it into the middle when there was, those 50-50 opportunities. And like the way he went about it. He's a really talented prospect, but he's next year.
Yep. Yes, certainly. I touch on Ollie DePoli Q-Bank. Nathaniel Salzberger is a fellow Tasmanian, obviously boarding up at Melbourne Grammar and playing for the Sandy Dragons. He's another one that went okay last week and has backed it up.
Yeah, well, he's got the tough task of being kind of that second string to Leo Lombard in the middle. They're both really tough and contested players, but he was that. When I compare him to Lombard, just did the little things well. Where if he was that second handball, he'd always make sure to get it out quickly and ease the congestion in the centre stoppages. Was really poised moving inside 50 with his kicking, and yeah, he was just. I thought his transition work was really good. He cleaned up a few mistakes from his teammates where they'd been moving in transition. He'd get a handball that was a bit dodged, but still was able to clean it up, was composed, and just kept the ball moving well. So a quieter game than the SA game, but it was still really productive, and like just every touch was impactful, I thought, and that's all you got to do sometimes in these big games.
And just quickly, very quickly on a few other Talent League boys who are in action for the Allies, Job Shanahan, who started nicely last week, a little bit quieter, I think this week. Josh Murphy was well contained, and Lenny Douglas. Just quickly on those three boys' games.
Yeah, I'll touch on Job and Josh, but Job was pretty good. I thought he wasn't rewarded for the effort he was putting in. Just wasn't in the right spots really. And that was it. He got himself into decent positions. Took a really good mark early in the game, and it felt like he was slowly going to get himself working into it. Good body work. He was doing all the things I think he should have done positionally. Just kind of wasn't falling his way a lot of the time, but had a really good shot out of the ruck that went through for a goal, but it was touched, which couldn't really tell on the stream, but we'll take their word for it. But a big moment in the last quarter, gets a really nice kick from Josh Murphy, I'll touch on in a second, but nailed a big set shot. And it was just, that's a little thing, just a set shot goal, but it was to win the game pretty much in the sense that it was, I think, only 7 points at that time. And yeah, that's a big moment, and he executed it really well. Finished with 2 goals. And yeah, Josh Murphy, it was a very slow day for him. He wasn't getting the service he usually was. His leads weren't really producing anything, and he was shut down by a great WA defender that I'll touch on. But look, he did put his head down at times, and I didn't think that was the best way to go about it, because he only needs like just a split second to produce a really good moment.
Yep.
And he did it late, and that's all he needs to do sometimes. Was really composed, did it on either side of the 50, the exact same move where the ball would come over the top. He'd work around his opponent, size up inside 50, look into the middle and find a teammate who both kicked goals in the end, and they were the winning goals. So whilst he was only able to kick one himself, I thought those little things just add that extra element that he's got that composure late in games. He doesn't need to hit the scoreboard.
Yeah. You touched on Josh Murphy. Obviously, he was shut down by Cody Curtin. A good segue into WA. A bottom major, the brother of Dan Curtin. We know how highly rated he was last year, and there's another one coming through the pipeline.
Yeah, well, Cody was terrific. His vision out at D50 in transition was so poised and always found ways to get the ball moving. And it was quite a scrappy affair, in all honesty. There was not a lot of time during the game where it was clean ball movement. So that poise that he had was terrific. Yeah, he did keep Josh Murphy quiet for the most part, and it was the physicality he had. His hands were strong coming into D50, took some big marks, and yeah, really liked the way he went about it. And that was my first time watching him, so I don't have a lot to take from previous games, but yeah, you like the looks of a big defender like him, and if he's anything like his brother, he'll be a really handy prospect to watch for the rest of these champs and obviously into next year as well.
If you like big defenders, stay tuned for the Coates League review, a couple that stepped up there. But we'll finish this off. Malachi Champion, one who there's going to be natural interest around, obviously an AFL Academy member and a really energetic small forward. How did he go?
It was pretty good. I liked, he just always creates that natural burst and that energy inside 50 that you're always on the edge of your seats when he's around it. I think he kicked 2-2 in the end, and he probably should have had 4 goals straight, to be honest. The 2 points he missed were definitely kickable, and I would say they were crucial moments, some of his set shots where could have got WA a bit further ahead, or there were just those were moments I'm sure he'd like back. But yeah, it was a typical, just created the energy inside 50. It was evasive. He's so low to the ground. He's hard to tackle, and he sees an opponent in front of him and he doesn't panic, but kicked 2 really nice goals in the end. And his composure on the outside as well, I thought was really nice when he did move up the ground. So it was a decent start, but I think he's got like that 3 or 4 goal game in him, and he's one of those players you feel without him, WA lose by more. So that's the impact he does have.
Yep, no, absolutely. Anyone else from a WA perspective, just quickly? I know you're pretty high on Luke Urquhart.
Yeah, he was their best, I thought. Just really tough, clean by hands around the contest, and strong hands, kicked a really good goal from 50 metres out, was providing consistent run. And yeah, he was always wanted to have the ball in his hands. You felt that with his energy. He was always willing them on. Charlie Banfield, brother of Bailey Banfield from the Freo Dockers. I thought he was quite nice. Really smart ball user. Like his kicks were really well executed. Shots at goal, he set up shots at goal through his kicking and movement through the middle of the ground. And Austin van der Struth, I thought, was really nice as well. Composed through the middle with his kicking when WA needed him. But yeah, there's not heaps of talent, I'll be honest, on the board with WA this year. It's definitely a smaller talent pool compared to recent years, but there's still players standing up, and interested to see who builds on a good champs. But Allies go 1-1, SA are 1-0. This weekend, Vic Metro and Allies and Vic Country SA. So very interested to see how they go, and check out our Instagram for my 5-4-3-2-1. Leo Lombard leads the tally with 10 votes, 2 perfect games. Hard to see him getting beaten, to be honest. It's hard to see who takes votes off him. But let's go to Talent League now. I'll let you kick off. We'll start with the boys.